So for people also wanting to come, just ensure that you know what you want to do. That's the first thing I always tell people, know what you want to do. And you can even say, yeah, okay, people say, oh, we would, when we get there, we'll figure it out. But even as you're figuring it out, don't leave everything to
Circumstances.
or circumstances. Yeah.
Hello, I am Kehinde Falade, the host of Great Minds with Keke, where we share life experiences so that you can learn from us and also know how to navigate your life path to success. Ciao. Hello. Welcome to Great Minds with Keke. This is another episode where we're talking about how international students can get easily integrated into the UK system. And to discuss this topic, we have Joel with me. Say hi to the audience. Yeah. Thank you for coming on Great Minds with Keke today. And could you tell us what your full name is and a little bit of your background, like where you are from, your country?
Okay. So my name is Daberechi Jewel Ike-Obiaha, but I mostly go by Jewel because, preference, and it's easier for people to pronounce as well. African, Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria and I migrated to the UK in 2001, just barely 3 years ago.
2021?
Yeah.
Okay, so why did you migrate to the UK?
That's a very interesting and long story, if I would say. So I had finished my first degree in Nigeria and I was working for a couple of years and I wanted to do my master's. So I actually tried to go to several other places, but I'm a firm believer in purpose and destiny and just following what God wanted for me. So I felt like just lines fell into place for me, and the UK was the top of my list.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just God just literally just sorted everything out. I had a number of places I wanted to go to, a number of applications I had made to several countries and several universities that had also given me admissions and things like that. So it was just trying to work out where exactly was I going to feel a little bit more comfortable, where exactly was I going to go, and it was going not easier per se, but I was just going to have that peace of mind. Yeah, so finally I chose the UK and I chose University of East Anglia. Then University of East Anglia wasn't even my top choice.
Why wasn't it?
It was my last. If I said
Oh my God, seriously? Why?
It was my last choice because firstly, I didn't know about UEA, to be fair.
Okay.
Before I came, I didn't know about UEA. I had there are other top schools in the UK that people could mention off the top of their head. So I had one of those schools that also had given me a certain percentage of scholarship.
Okay.
And that was basically where I was planning on going. Yeah. But I had a friend last minute who just told me, oh, have you heard of UEA? And I'm like, no, what's that? And he was like, oh, it's a school, it's my school, blah, 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 go check it out. And I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the course content for the particular course I wanted to study. And it was super amazing because they had a lot of things that I wanted to do. They had the course models had the certain specific programs that were in line with what I wanted to achieve. So I'm like, God, is this you saying something? And I look at the other school, I'm like, this one is just streamlined. This is what I'm looking at UA.
No, not bringing the other ones down.
No, not really, but UA just gave me that flexibility when it came to the course models of what I wanted to study. So I actually studied international relations, but
For your undergrad?
No, for my master's. That's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah. But I also wanted something that had a bit of media and communications to it. So I like politics, I like media, I like communication. So I actually wanted to do political communications. So UEA was able to infuse that into their international relations model, and that was part of the things that sold
Differentiating factor.
Yeah. So I applied to UEA in less than 2 weeks or thereabout. I got the admission. They were we're going to give you a certain number of scholarship, blah blah blah. And that's the same. The rest is history.
That's very good.
So
how was your experience as a student in University of East Anglia?
It was exciting. And to an extent, it was I'm not saying everything that I thought it would be, but it was a different pace, but an exciting pace as well. That was the thing I liked mostly about studying here. I'd heard people who say, And people have this misconception or notion that once you're a good student in Nigeria, once you come to the UK, you would make it, blah, 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 blah. But what they don't understand is like for most courses, not all anyway, for most courses, it's like you have to have a very good grasp of like essay writing. And I love writing. Like writing is something that is almost like second nature to me. I tell my friends, I rather text you than call you, because if I'm texting, I can better express myself than if I'm over the phone. Yeah, it's easy for me that way. So I loved writing, and just seeing that most of the models were like essay based. It was really interesting. And then most of the lectures like had this open door policy where you could just come and ask your lecturers like questions, or I don't understand this. How can I go about it? And the lecturer is like, okay, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this. I had this particular lecturer for a model that I took, and she gave us this assignment, and I'm looking at the assignment here like, where do I even start from?
That's a
Where do I even start from? Like at that time, there were research things that you could go through, but just knowing that you could also like go to the lecturer to say, okay, this is my idea, this is what I'm thinking. And she's like, okay. And then to them, no idea is stupid. So if you're like, I'm thinking this way, and she's like, okay, that's a very good idea, or that's how to think. How can we look at it from this angle? And then you're like, oh, okay, this angle actually makes sense. And then you see that as you're looking at it from that angle, at the end of the day, you are still like, your own angle still makes sense. So there's still like a line where they just interlap and interlace. So that was actually very interesting. Just having that open door policy and just being able to like talk about like how the assignments, if you don't understand it, how best to go about it. Yeah, that really was very helpful to me.
Compared to your education in Nigeria, were you able to have open door policy with your lecturers in your university, or?
I would say yes and no.
Okay.
Because again, I came from like a science background.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my BSc was like a science-based course, and we were quite a number of students.
Okay.
So I went to a federal university. Okay. So like in the class, you could have like maybe 100 people, so to speak. So, and then the lecturer just comes, he just says what he wants to say, and then he gives you like a handout, and it's like, go and sort yourself out, you get. So, but I mean, there wasn't really that open door policy. But by the time I like got to specialize in the area where I wanted, like I got to my 400 level and then 500 level, you could also find out that you could like approach these lecturers to their offices and be like, okay, like this is what I think, how, and then it wasn't really like how best do I go about it. It's just like they weren't really lecturers in my own particular university in Nigeria. They weren't really like they just expected you to know, if I use that word. So even you going to them, you're just like, nah, there's really no need for me to actually go to this person or like say this, because you already you can almost preempt what the person would say, or they'll just tell you, oh, go to this my textbook, this chapter, everything is there, whether you understand it or not, let the Holy Spirit guide you. So yeah, that's like the major difference for me.
So while you were studying in the University of East Anglia, you became a member of the student union.
Yeah.
How did you get that position, and what motivated you to join the union?
I actually don't know if I've told like people this story before. I think it was like during one of our caucus meetings during like the student union that I actually said this. But like, I'm a very how do you put it, like inquisitive person.
Oh.
And again, I'd said like I love politics. I love like things that have to do with like me just being able to represent people, because I think I found out that thing in myself from a very young age. I just love talking. I love being like in front in the group, just trying to present people's ideas to the rest of like a body or something like that. So for UEA, I actually like applied before I came into the UK. Again,
Really? Okay.
So after I had finished, I'm like, okay, UEA is where I want to go. After I had that conviction, got the scholarship, got the admission, and everything was in place. I was just waiting for the time for me to get my cards and for me to like get my visa and get plane ticket and other things like that. Yeah. So I just went. I'm like, okay, politics. What's the student union life like in UEA? I was at work or at home one day and I'm just Googling go train UAE, and they're like, oh, these are the people you need to contact, like the student reps for the previous year that would be going by the time I enter. So I got their email and I sent the person like a message, and I'm like, oh, blah, 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 my name is this. I'm going to be coming in for the next set of masters, blah, blah, blah. I want to go for the postgraduate student representative. How do I go about it? Do I need to fill a form? What do I need to do? That kind of thing. And the person replied, like after a couple of days, the person replied, and I was like, oh, this is like very wonderful hearing that you're not even in the UK and you want to. And so it just like brought about that back and forth rapport between myself and the person. And they were like, okay, that I should, that once I get into the UK, I should come to the office, like fill out this particular form. And there was going to be like a council vote because these other people would be going out. So they'll need to do like a general board council vote. But she'll keep my name in mind because, I mean, this was
from way before you even entered.
Exactly. So that was like, to them, that was like very impressive. Like this person reached out even before she stepped foot in this country again.
And that kind of shows your level of seriousness.
Exactly. So by the time I now came and got settled, and the first day of school, I went to the union building. I'm like, oh, this is me. And they were like, oh, are you serious? The thing is that most people, when they hear my voice, they feel like I'm like a very small person. They don't know like I'm this very tall. Yeah, so when they were like, oh my God, is this? I'm like, yeah, this is me. Yeah, so they had like their governing council meeting, stuff, then did the election. I think I had like 2 other people who were vying for the same position, but they did the elections, and as God will have it, I want to believe that the person I reached out to maybe spoke up for me on my behalf, and that was how they voted me in. Yeah, and they gave like the other 2 people like slots in the general council. Yeah, so that was.
So what was your role again?
The postgraduate officer. Yeah, postgraduate officer for 2001/2002.
Was it a paid role?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
It wasn't a paid role. Yeah.
And then moving from science background to international relations, how were you able to transition from a science background to a social science or humanities field?
Okay, that's a very interesting question as well, because I had, again, I felt like this is a passion of mine. Like this social sciences, humanities was a passion or is a passion of mine, and I didn't realize that up until I was like in the university, if I would say. And so for me, I had done previous works with like NGOs and humanitarian organizations where I was able to like go for conferences, Model UN conferences, did like some volunteer works under Model UN with the United Nations Information Agencies as well in Lagos and Nigeria. So that generally just opened my horizon to what international relations is and how the media and communications that plays a very important part in just getting your story out there. And yeah, that was basically like what caught my interest. So personally, I did some research on my own, did some reading on my own, went for conferences. I mean, I love traveling. So I love traveling. I love going to new places. So at any conference, any point in time. And it was so amazing because in my university, I was the president of the debate club in my university.
In your undergrad?
Yeah, my undergraduate. And also the president of the Model UN club as well in my undergraduate university. So it was also interesting because like the school also wanted to promote this social enterprise thing and just like put the university out there. They had some, I know Nigerian universities do things for however they want to do it for their own benefit, but it was also to my own benefit because most of the places I went to as an undergrad, the school sponsored, the school paid.
Oh, that's
so it was very interesting. I went for debate conferences, I went for Model UN workshops, like all across the country and even outside of Nigeria as well. So that really just opened my eyes and opened my horizon, the networking, just being able to keep in touch with, let's say, a DG of this particular organization or do this. And anytime like they have their annual reports or something, they send it to me and they're like, okay, this is what we've done this year. Maybe you could go through it, see if something is interesting to you. Yeah. So I just kept on reading up on it. And again, maybe because of the love and passion that I have for it, that is basically like how it grew. And the transition was basically easy So most of the things that I was now learning in my master's level were things that I have seen firsthand, like either as a work experience or just like attending a particular conference. Let's say there's been like a conflict between two nations. I'm in a conference where representatives from those nations are like stating their positions and like, okay, this is how we're going, but this is what my government is doing, this is what it's doing. And I'm seeing it now in theory in school. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've experienced this firsthand. I've seen this before. So it was just almost like marrying my passion with the educational background. So I know that. So tomorrow now, for instance, if I come out and say, oh, I want to do this, in as much as I have the work experience, I could also like have the educational backing to say, okay, I have like a master's in this as well. So it's easier for me to just integrate the two. So that was just it.
So now that you studied your program, your course, during the course itself, how were you able to negotiate reading and working and ensuring that you excelled academically?
I mean, people would think this is a cliche, but it's honestly God's grace.
God's grace.
It's honestly like God's grace, because we all have 24 hours in a day.
Absolutely.
We all have 7 days in a week. Like we all have 4 weeks in a month. But for me, it was also about like prioritizing what was most important. The reason I came here firstly was my education. So that was like at the forefront of my agenda. Anything that had to do with like studying, anything that had to do with like writing assignments, turning it in on time, I tried as much as possible to put more focus in that. Then after that, the next thing was, okay, my passion. Like I had gone to the extra length to take up this position as a student union rep. So like I had to give that time as well. And after that, I'm like, okay, I'm working. I have to sustain myself also. So it was just basically trying as much as possible to prioritize. It didn't give me so much time to have like a regular social life, as people would say. But at the end of the day, I feel like I wouldn't trade that experience for anything else, because I was able to achieve like the things that I set out to do. So again, it's just knowing what you want, because delayed gratification, that's the word you get. So it's knowing what you want at that point in time and going for it, because there would always be time to
for other things. And
as long as God keeps us alive, there would always be time to do some other things. So
and then you won't be in school forever. It's just for that time
period. Exactly. So just focus that time period, what you want to do, what you want to achieve. And that's basically what I did.
So one final question.
Yeah.
What would you advise someone that wants to come and study in the UK? You know, you had an idea what you wanted to do. You knew that you wanted to go into police, but the person maybe was advised to come and study for masters and doesn't really know what he or she wants in life after the degree. What advice would you have for such a person?
That's like a very difficult spot to be in, because I know now like what is trending is this Japa thing, and everybody just
most people are just Japa.
Exactly, people just want to Japa.
I've asked a few people, they will say, oh, I just Japa, and I'm like, so what's the next plan? I'm already here, and I'm like, you being here is not a goal. Like, after getting here, what's the next?
What next? Yeah. I believe like we all have our parts in like our pathways in life. Exactly. We all have what we want to do, what we want to achieve.
Absolutely.
And person A's goal may not be person B's goal. I had a friend a couple of years ago when I was still in undergraduate, and I was talking one time to her, and I'm like, okay, so what's the greatest thing you want to achieve in life? And she told me she just wants to be like a big woman. And I'm like, okay, explain that. She says, oh, she wants to get married and have a husband open like a supermarket for her. She just like runs the supermarket and raise her family. And that is a very good goal. Like,
that's
what she wants. Like, I don't, again, like, it's not for me to say, oh, you must be this, you must be a lawyer, you must be, no. It's what she wants. It's her goal. And that was perfect. And that is what she's doing today. And she is living like the good life in her own standard.
She's living her vision.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's just we all have our various pathways in life. The Lord be with you, and God would help you like to achieve your vision and achieve your goal. But for me, it's like ensure that that is something that you want to do. Let it not just be like it's a happenstance thing. Or let it not just be like, oh, it's because you don't have any other option, if I would say.
Or it's because of short-sightedness and you couldn't see that you could do more.
Exactly. Or you don't want to apply yourself. There's some people that I feel like they just feel like, oh, I can't be better than this. Like they haven't even tried. But it's just in their mindset, they're like, I can't do more than I'm doing right now. And they're settling for it. And it's, again, in this life, I tell people sometimes that life is short, but life is also like long. Depending on how you want to see it. So you don't try not to be short-sighted, because you don't know where you would be tomorrow. You don't know the rooms of people that you will enter and the people that you will meet tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's just I'm the kind of person that I like to like put myself out there. I like to explore. I like to like go the extra mile for myself and things like that. So again, if you're not that kind of person, it's okay, but ensure that you're not doing it because you don't have like a greater foresight. Don't do it because it's what everybody's doing.
Absolutely.
Or it's because you feel like you cannot do better. Absolutely. I feel like we can always do better. But if that is your vision, like if you have looked everywhere and that, perfect. Like God would give each and every one of us grace to succeed wherever we are. So for me, it's just knowing that that is where you want to be.
And the success is subjective to the owner of the vision.
Exactly. Because what success means to aim will not be what success means to be. Yeah. So for people also wanting to come, just ensure that you know what you want to do. That's the first thing I always tell people. Know what you want to do. And you can even say, yeah, okay, people say, oh, we would, when we get there, we'll figure it out. But even as you're figuring it out, don't leave everything to circumstances. Yeah.
Actively engage with the circumstances and always call it iterate or pivot. Like I had to go when I got to the UK, and then when I got, I was like, what am I seeing on ground? What is the environment like? I had to study and research the environment, and then started revising my plan.
Exactly.
Because sometimes if you come with a plan, it may not really be. I do tell people that even coming to the UK is almost like doing PhD. Most of the time, the topic you start with is not the topic you end. Your research methodology is not. You just have to continue to engage with the environment. What is going on here? What are the new rules?
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of work.
Participant in your life. That's the most important thing.
If it's post-study work visa, good. If it's to bounce to another place, good. But just make sure that you are never caught wanting.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you very much for your time. It was good chatting with you and sharing your experiences of getting a job in quotes before you came to the UK. It's almost like that.
Thank you.
Yes. So thank you everyone for watching this episode of Great Minds with Keke. It was nice chatting with Jewel.
Likewise.
And it is also nice sharing our experiences with you. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of Great Minds with Keke. We upload new episodes every Saturday, so don't forget to subscribe. Ciao.